All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the trade recap for last week, right? So we are going to be breaking down 20 pairs, all these 20 pairs right here, using the fxalexg set and forget strategy. And I'll choose the best trades that we are going to be calling for next week. But this was what happened last week, right? It's pretty much a break-even week, to be honest. GPBUSD was a loss, GPNZD was a loss of minus 22% each, and then NZD card we actually won that one. So this right here, which was the NZD card trade, that gave us 1:2.7. So let's just do a quick trade recap before we go to the weekly setup. So this right here was the forward time frame on GBP which was the loss, right? So on the 4 hour time frame, we had a very clean break, retest, and engulfing, right? So this is a 4 hour trade basically, but I needed a 1 hour entry, right? So 1 hour, I came over to the 1 hour time frame. Price came back into area of interest right here, as you can see, and I needed some form of shift. As you can see, we broke above this high right here. We broke above this high, had a retracement, and then we had an engulfing. So I entered, right? But now coming after the loss, right, I tried to review this trade to see if there's something I did wrong, right? And then just coming down a little bit, I just noticed something, right? So this right here is a bullish market, clearly bullish. Technically, we can enter off of any engulfing we get, but on a normal day, I used to wait for the move to start happening first before I latch on to the trade. Do you understand what I mean? So it should start already. It should start pumping to the upside already. Then I'll find where to enter and join the trend, right? So this right here, we will not be counting this right here. We just know that the overall market structure is bullish, but we'll not be using this market structure clearly because it has been trending strongly to the upside, right? So on a normal day, what I do is I wait for price to come back to area of interest and wait for a clean break and retest. I wait for price to get back into area of interest and then look for a clean break and retest to take the trade, right? So this right here was actually the lower low. If I show you lower low right here, right, on the 1 hour time frame, and then the lower high. So this trade is not still a bad trade, right? I took the trade off of this break, retest, and engulfing, right? But technically, if I am looking at this market structure, technically this is the lower low and this is the lower high. This technically is the break. This engulfing candle where I entered is actually the break. I could have been waiting for a retracement around here. As you can see, we did not get an engulfing. So this could have actually been a loss avoided. But it's not a bad trade. Will I take it next time? I mean, I'll just be careful next time to take trades like this, right? Because last week we had a lot of this kind of trades and they played out to perfection. It just happened that this week it did not play out. So next time it's just to be careful, right? The trade we actually won, NZD card, very clean setup. But as for NZD card, the trade is pretty much very similar, right? So we were trending to the upside. We finished breaking the market from the higher time frames. We know that this market we are supposed to be buying it, right? So we just need price to get back to the area of interest. As you can see right here, price got back into the area of interest and broke above this high. Now we are breaking highs. That shows a higher high and a higher low, but I can't just enter right off of this high, right? I need a break, retest, and engulfing to be valid, and I also need it to be above EMA. I will actually feel way more confident if it's above EMA, right? So this right here, we had a break the first time, we came back, almost had a double bottom at area of interest, and then we had the second break, which is above EMA, above this minor area right here, a retracement and an engulfing, which is a very strong engulfing, by the way, that engulfed about 4 hours of price action in under 1 hour, right? So I took this trade, the second candle after the engulfing, stop loss below the low, and then targeted 4 hour, targeted this high right here. So I'll show you guys is the final take profit target on the daily time frame, right? As soon as price got there, I was deciding on if to hold, but after looking at the chart, I knew that I'm not supposed to be holding that trade, right? So let me show you guys. Coming to the daily time frame, you can clearly see that this right here was the final take profit target on this market, right? This is the highest point that price has gone. We cannot expect that price will continue going up. There's clearly no price action above here. There's clearly no price action. So this right here, price came here before and that's rejected to the downside. So it doesn't make sense that we'll hold more than this level, right? So that's how we even rejected that level and started dumping to the downside. So that was the perfect entry and perfect take profit target, right? So that is the trade right here. Very beautiful trade. So this trade, I did not actually just take a 1:2, right? I took a 1:2.7, 1:2.78, right? So that was, it's because of this trade. That's why I did not end up totally break even, right? As you can see, because of this trade, I did not end up I did not end up totally break even. It's supposed to be break even this week, right? But I still closed the week with 1.4% in profits, even after having 2 losses and 1 win, right? So the last trade I think is GPUSD. Is it GPUSD? No. I've covered GPBUSD. Last trade is GBPNZD. So let's check it. GBPNZD. Alright, so GBPNZD, I don't know. I expected this market to simply be dumping to the downside. Let me give you guys what my thought process on in this market. So initially we were calling this trade for sales right here, which we technically missed because the market was way too fast, right? But I expected that this market will continue dumping all the way to final take profit target, which is down here, right? We have got to the first final take profit target, which was right here. If you check last week's setup, do you understand what I'm saying, right? So we have gotten the first final take profit target. Then we are looking for reasons to continue selling, right? So I drew this area of interest and I drew this 4-hour minor area of interest. If I go back to the 4-hour time frame, you see it clearly. I drew this 4-hour minor area of interest. Then coming over to the 1-hour time frame, the market was clearly creating structures, right? You can clearly see breaking lows, having break, retest, engulfing, and so on, right? As soon as we had this break, you can clearly see break, the retracement was very slow, which is a very good confirmation. It shows that the buyers are weak in this market. And then we had an engulfing, doji and engulfing, right? So that was a very clean trade setup for me to sell, right? But as soon as we entered the market started shifting structural bullish. Now, after after the loss, again, I always go to my trade to find a reason why I lose. If there's no an actual reason, then I just move on. It's part of the strategy. It's part of the system where you can just lose, right? It's normal for losses to be made, but if you can learn a lesson from a loss, I think the loss will also be counted as a win in my own books, right? So coming over to the 4-hour time frame, I just realized what happened. I drew this minor area of interest right here on the 4-hour time frame, as you can clearly see, which clearly price have rejected multiple times. Again, I said this last week, right? And instead of me to clearly wait for price to be trading under that level, we had 2 dojis before that level, right? So price rejected from the 4-hour level and started shifting structural bullish. Now, the overall structure of this market is still bearish. We are still expecting that same break and retest under this level. But this time, we'll clearly be waiting for price to be trading under this area, not above this area. This happens time and time again. Right here, price came right to that area and started buying to the upside, right? So we need price to be under that area, trading. So it should print candlesticks, not wicks, not just wicks. Candlesticks under this area, then we'll be interested in selling to this level right here, right? But imagine this trade was actually playing out and we actually held this trade to final take profit target, which will be here. That would be a 1:9.7 risk reward ratio. Would have been a crazy, insane trade. Anyway, let us break down the markets and see what we have for this new week. Now, this new week, last week taught me a lesson because last week we missed a lot of trades because we were being too careful, right? Last week we missed a lot of trades because we were being too careful, and this week I tried not to be too careful, and then the trades that were pretty much similar to that of last week, I actually lost them, and the trade that was just okay for me to take, I actually won that trade. Now, what lesson did that teach me for last week? It shows me that it's actually better to just miss trades than for you to force a trade that is not really that does not really have all the criteria you're looking for, right? Even if last upper week we had a lot of trades that we could have taken that would have given us multiple risk reward ratio, we did not take them simply because we were looking for certain criteria that the market did not really give us, but the market was good enough for the setup. Do you understand what I mean? So this week we'll be going into the new week with that same mentality that we'll just have to we'll plan the trade and then we'll trade exactly what the plan is and not be breaking rules or bending the rules basically, right? So that's pretty much it. Let us see what we have for this week. EURUSD, again, I've pretty much been waiting for this trade for the past 2 weeks. Seems like it's going to be happening this week, right? Again, that will just be my first trade. I don't have to break it down. I've been breaking it down for the past 2 weeks. Clearly, you can look at the daily time frame. We are under area of interest, and we have pretty much been consolidating around area of interest. Very lazy pair, by the way. We have been consolidating around area of interest for the past 28 days, right? Now it's starting to get that momentum to the downside. We could actually, let's see where our take profit target could be. Now, if we are going to be aggressive, we'll be targeting this low right here. we are not going to be aggressive. We'll be taking profit at here and here. So these 3 points are take profit targets. Hopefully we get to the final take profit target, which is down here. But if price gets to this level, I'll wait and see how the daily time frame closes. If the daily time frame can break this level, right, I'll continue to hold to at least this level, right? So that is the first pair. Euro USD, I'm willing to sell. Still waiting for a break and retest to sell this market, right? So that is that on Euro USD. Next pair, let's look at gold. Let's see what we have there. So as for gold, last week I was calling for buys initially, as you can clearly see from the part of last week. I told you guys we are going to be breaking above this level, right? That was what makes sense the most. We actually had a break right here. The retracement was not really deep enough. That's the only reason I not take this trade. But as you can clearly see, we had the clear break, the retracement, doji, and a very strong engulfing, and then we bought all the way. We bought about, let's see how many pips. We bought about 846 pips. No, sorry, 961 pips, right, before the shifts of structure all the way back to this area, right? So right now, let us see what we have. So we are currently rejecting from this level right here. As you can clearly see, we have multiple rejections from this level. This is the 1 hour time frame. Let's go over to the 4 hour. Let's see something. All right, so a very valid, let's just call it the 4 hour area of interest. So on the 1 hour time frame, what will still make sense? Well, is still undecisive. Right now, market could still be selling, right? Right now, market could still be selling, but if we can break above this high, right? As you can clearly see, we are having rejections from here. We have 2 days, 2 hours of slowdown. So if you can actually reject this level, we can actually continue buying, right? But if we break this level, then we can continue selling. So it really just depends on what market does after market open. So this right here, it doesn't really have a very clean perspective on what market is about to do right now. So we'll just be waiting to see. Again, I'll update you guys on the Telegram channel. Just join it. It's very easy to join. Go over to the YouTube and so on, right? So let's go over to GPBUSD. Let's see what we have. Daily time frame. Let's start with the daily. Again, GPBUSD, I'm still expecting price to get all the way back here. If it doesn't get all the way back here, it means that this area of interest is going to hold, and then we'll get all the way back here. So by the way, we still have either a buy or a sell position on this market, right? It really just depends on what market does at this area of interest, because area of interest is a decisive point of what market could do, either to buy or to sell, right? So now daily time frame, overall structure currently is still bearish. You see, this is the reason I was planning on selling last week, right? Weekly time frame is actually bullish, right? So weekly is actually bullish. Now, something I like about the weekly is for buys, by the way, is that price has come and it has rejected from daily area of interest, right? And it has had 1 week of slowdown, right? We have a doji now, right? So I mean, that's another reason why we probably even took a loss, because we don't like a consolidation market. Doji just shows you that that entire week was pretty much not moving. It was a consolidation market. It opened and closed at relatively the same price, right? So that is good if you are looking for buys, right? Price is at area of interest and it has had a doji at that level. Now, daily time frame technically is still bearish, but that will also mean that we need rejections. If you are going to be buying, we will need rejection from area of interest and a clean break and retest to buy, right? So if we can have a break above this level, this structure, I'll call it good enough for the buys, right? If you can have a clean break and retest above this structure on the daily, I'll call it a good trade for buys. Now, let's see what now the 4 hour, right? 4 hour time frame, overall structure, is very undecisive depending on if you're calling this the high or you're calling this the high, right? So this is my game plan on GPBUSD, right? So let me show you what my game plan is on GPBUSD. We have 2 buyers for this market. This is the main area of interest, which is the daily area of interest. If you go over to the left, you can see multiple rejection and so on, right? Now, daily is bearish, weekly is bullish, right? Now, it depends on what market start to do. Depending on what market start doing, then we'll know which buyers to join in, right? But this is what I'll be looking for. If you are selling, I'll be waiting for a break and retest below this particular area to sell. 1. If you are buying, I'll be waiting for a break and retest above this area to buy. Now, from my own testing of this strategy, I've noticed that I'm just a better seller than a buyer. So I would really like selling trades that are going to the downside more than buying trades, right? So it's just a data thing. So you need to watch yourself, take enough trades and look up back at your data to find this information, right? But I win more of my selling trades than buying trades, if you notice, right? So apart from last week anyways. Anyway, so these are the two game plan I'll be using for next week. So if price start gaining momentum to the upside, breaking EME, market receive structural bullish and then we'll buy. But if market continue bearish, the market will break under 4-hour level, as you can clearly see. Then we'll look for a clean break and to continue selling to this area. So either ways, we'll still be having good risk reward ratio. But I think the selling trade will have a better risk reward ratio than the buying trade. So it really just depends. So I'm adding GPPNZD again for this week. I've been calling these two trades for the past 2 weeks now. NZD card. Alright, so NZD card, we took a W last week, right? And now price have pretty much shifted structural bearish, right? So now we should be looking for selling trades. So let's go over to the daily. Let's delete everything we have again, just to see a cleaner perspective, to be sure that what I'm saying is the correct thing, right? So clearly, this is the area of interest that we'll be using right here, right? And why we're using this area of interest is very self-explanatory, because clearly, whenever we are above this area, we are buying to the upside. Whenever we are below this area, we are selling to the downside. Whenever we are below, we are selling. Whenever we are above, we are buying. Very simple, very straightforward, right? Now, that's the daily time frame. Let's go to the weekly. Let's see what data the weekly is giving us. Now, weekly has clearly rejected from that high, which is where we took our take profits. But the weekly structures are not even that clean, right? So I'll not be paying too much attention on the weekly structures simply because it's confusing. Simple, right? Now, going over to the 4-hour time frame. Now, 4-hour time frame shows a bearish market. Now, there's something very similar that we are seeing here. We are seeing some kind of a left head, right? Right shoulder. I think it might be this one. Not so clean of a right shoulder, but we have a clean break on that area of interest, and we are retesting area of interest right now. So yes, we could end up selling this market to the downside, right? Now we also have some kind of a trend line. Let's just visualize it. It's not like I always like to use it, but it's good for visualization. Now, from the visualization, it shows that we had 1 rejection, 2 rejection from this area, but now we are currently under the trend line too as well, right? So if you can have any clean market, price start rejecting from this area, then we'll look for where to sell from this area. So let's go over to the 1-hour time frame, which will be our entry time frame. What will I see on the 1-hour time frame that will tell me to enter this market? Now, I need cleaner structures. All this right here is not clean structures. Pretty much it's just a one move. I don't like it, right? I need cleaner structures. So what I mean by that is that I need market start having cleaner structures and then start trading under a area of interest right here. Have a clean break under this level, a retracement, and then we can sell. Simple. It's as easy as that, right? So that's exactly what I'll be waiting for on NZD card for next week. So let's see. Let's decide if we are hitting it for this week. Let's go over to the daily again. Daily is also bearish, so we do have that 2 time frame in sync. So yes, I'll be adding NZD card for this week. What's next? AUD, GPBUSD. Let's see, weekly time frame. All right, so weekly time frame, clean rejection from this area, of which I called about 2 weeks ago, right? I told you guys, as we got back to this area, we had that doji. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for on which pair, said. On which pair? Okay, yeah. On GPPNZD. So that's exactly the pattern I'm looking for, right? So that is GPP. What is this? So I'm looking for, after that doji, I'm looking for a inverse direction, right? So this was a buying trade. Getting to area of interest, he had a doji, then we had an inverse trade, right, which is a bearish market now. So that is the same thing for GPNZD. Now we are selling to the downside. We had the doji. Now I'm expecting an inverse trade to the upside, right? If it doesn't give us that, then we continue selling to the downside, and we have a plan for that too as well, right? So let's look at GBP AUD and see what we have now. Now, weekly time frame, clearly we are rejecting from weekly area of interest Let's see if it's also a daily area of interest. So it's also a daily area of interest, as you can clearly see now. Now, price has clearly rejected from that area. What would have made more sense was a retracement back into this level to continue selling. But we clearly see that price is actually bearish right now. So that's also a good sign. Let's see the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is also bearish. Now, I believe that this market will just continue selling to the downside. Let's see if we can have a cleaner reason to continue selling to the downside. So this trade, I feel like this trade, we should have taken this market around here, but since it did not happen, let's look for the daily take profit target to see if we can actually take this trade. So it seems like the daily take profit target is all the way here, right? So it might be a risky trade to not be taking right here, right? Because this is our area of interest. It's way too far from area of interest, right? But if we are going to be latching on to this trade, our take profit target is still far, and it can still give us this risk reward ratio that we are looking for, right? It really just depends on you and your risk tolerance and your risk tolerance and your risk tolerance. So it really just depends on you, right? So it really just depends on if you are willing to take this trade or not. As for me, let me decide right now. So 1 rejection from area, 2, 3. So I'll still call it a valid daily area of interest, right? I'll be using this as an extra confirmation, right? Where EMA will be shifting bearish, which will be an extra confirmation too as well. 4-hour time frame, let's see. 4-hour time frame also bearish, clearly creating lows, right? I will also need momentum, so I'll need price to actually be on that area of interest again. So I need a clear rejection from this area and then a retracement to sell. So yes, I think I'll be interested in this market for this new week. GPBUSD. For GPBUSD, I simply believe that this market it's not really going to be playing out now, right? But let's analyze and see. Now, daily time frame is bearish. Weekly time frame has a very strong engulfing candle, right? Take profit target, let's just look and see if it's even visible. So take profit target is likely going to be this low, right? All right, so if we are not at take profit target, we can still look for reasons to sell this market, right? I feel like we can still look for reasons to sell this market. And let's look for an area of interest. So let me start from here. So we have about 2 rejections. So let me go over to the left. Okay. I mean, not a very beautiful area of interest, but the rejections are there on this area of interest. So let me conclude. So you can see this is 1, 2, 3 rejection, going over to the right, 4, 5, 6, 7 rejections. So I mean, the market could continue selling. So GPUSD, let's see, this is the 4-hour time frame. So 4-hour time frame, I'm also observing a trend line that got broken, right? So we are clearly creating lower lows and lower highs. I still believe that if you can have a clean rejection from this area, let's say a rejection to the upside, for example, and a clear break under this low, right? Then we can have a retracement to sell. So basically, let me just delete it and do it well again. So I need a break above, right? I want market to open up to the upside before having the shift of structure and then a retracement back into area and previous structural point to sell to this area, right? So GPBUSD, I'll just keep it on the sidelines. It's not one of the best. I don't even know why I'm not adding it as one of the best, but I do believe that this is what I expect to happen, right? If it's not going to be having this, then we should start breaking above this high to be buying, right? So GBPUSD, you know what, I'll add it for this week. I would like to see how it plays out. AUD JPY, we called for buys on this market Um, let's see what happened. Okay, price did not really get back into area, right? Now these are the things that happen, right? Now price did not get back into area, but it gave us the entry signal. If we would have entered on, if we enter this market now, it will just stop us out. But if you don't enter, it will play out to perfection. It's crazy, right? And we are almost at take profit targets. I don't think I'll be interested in this market. I don't think I'll be interested in this market, right? But this market would have given us a very good risk reward ratio though. So and the AUD JPY, I'm not adding it for this week because there's no reason to add it. There's no trade opportunities on that pair. So USD card, let's see. Daily time frame. Okay, don't like daily, but is it bullish or bearish? Overall, still bullish. Weekly time frame. Overall, still bullish too as well. Rejecting from this high, I think. Not reject. It's not even that clean. It's genuinely not that clean. Let's see the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame also not that clean. So I will not be interested in USD card. I'm not interested in USD card this week. So next pair we have AUD, Euro AUD. Let's see what we have there. Daily time frame. I don't like it at all. Weekly time frame. Weekly time frame is bearish, right? So weekly time frame is bearish. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame again. 4-hour time frame is also still bearish. Overall, I believe this market could continue selling clearly because it's bearish, but the reason I'm not interested is because this right here just feels like a lot of take profit targets or a lot of lows, right? I don't expect price to really I don't know where to take profit around here. If I'm selling, I am buying right into some kind of support that I cannot see. So this right here is one. Let me show you. One right here. Multiple rejection from that area. Another one right here. Another one right here. And another one right here. So you can see too many lines. Too many lines. Where do I actually take my profit? You see, that's the only reason I'm not interested. But I believe that this market could be selling to the downside. So I'm not interested in Euro AUD. So next pair, I am also not interested in GPP card, clearly because it's not a clean market. Euro GBP. Okay, so let's look at Euro GBP and see. Okay, Euro GBP seems like it has already had the move. It has already had the move. Daily time frame is currently bullish because we broke above this high. We need a clean retracement, but we don't know where it's going to be retracing to. Right? Let me explain what I mean by retracing to. So this right here is what price is doing right now. And then we had this break, right? So let me bring it out. This is exactly what's happening. So if you're having a retracement, price is supposed to retrace to some obstruction somehow, right? This is the only first obstruction we can get, and it's a double bottom. So it's not really a clean break and retest, right? Let me explain how it's supposed to be. So this is how it's supposed to be. Let's say, okay, let me redraw it. A bearish market, right? A bearish market. Then we have the break, and then a retracement to buy. So this is how the market is supposed to be. So this retracement right here is retracing to the previous structure point on the daily time frame, weekly time frame, whatever it is, right? Do you understand what I mean? So this right here is not really retracing to something, right? So I'm not confident on that kind of market, basically. So that's the reason I'm not adding it for this week. CAD JPY next pair. CAD JPY, we predicted buys, is buying, but did not actually react from our area of interest. So that's the reason we did not take this trade. And right now, price is currently somewhere in the middle. We cannot be buying somewhere in the middle, right? So we'll not be interested in this market. AUD USD. Alright, AUD USD. Let me explain these lines. I've already broken down this pair before. So let me show you exactly what my thought process is on AUD USD. So first of all, we have this area right here, which is a weekly support level, right? Weekly support level, price came to this level and bought up strongly. It came to that level and it started buying again strongly. So weekly support level. Now, this second area is actually a daily area of interest, right? So we have one rejection clearly. Let me turn this on. One rejection right here, two, three, four rejections. So that is a valid area. We are currently under EME, of which we have rejected multiple times, and we have rejected the area of interest too as well, right? So that is a good market, but we are looking for sales now. Daily time frame is also bearish as well. Going over to the 4 hour time frame, Going over to the 4 hour time frame, market was bullish coming back into this area. As you can clearly see right now, price has shifted structure, broken under this low, having a retracement. We should be looking for entries around here, but I'm trying to be careful, right? We cannot just be buying, we cannot just be selling just because of one break, right? That is the only confirmation that we have right here, and the rejection from area of interest. We need price to be under EME clearly and under trend line at least, because we did this before. We had a break under this level, but you can see that it rejected from the trend line and started pumping to the upside, right? So we are not going to be falling for that. We need a clean break and retest on this level to be selling to the downside. So make a decision if you are willing to sell to this level and sell all the way back to weekly support level, right? For me, that still seems risky, but this is the game plan that makes sense the most, right? So that is that for AUD USD. Will I be adding it for this week? I really doubt. I'll just keep it close to see how it plays out, but I'm not be trading that market this week. Euro NZD. Let's see weekly, daily. All right, so Euro NZD, we are currently at daily. At this point, this is daily support level, right? This is daily support level. So let's see how the weekly looks. Also having a doji at support level, right? So this is more like a daily and weekly support level. So this area of interest or support level is very strong, right? That's one information that we have. But the overall direction of this market is bearish, right? Let's not ignore that. Weekly and daily is bearish. So if we are looking for buys, we are going to be counting this as a counter trend trade setup. Okay. So now, let's see. 4 hour time frame have shifted structure bullish, right? Now I will not really be buying here. Let me explain what I mean. So this right here is markets coming over to the area of interest, bearish, right? Right here we shifted bullish, right? We did not have any clean retracement back into this area again to continue buying, right? Price just pretty much continue buying, and now we are going to be looking for, if we are going to be counting this as a break, and we are looking for a retracement, and we are looking to buy right here, it's still risky. The reason for that is because the only thing that is going to be holding price is we don't have any previous structural point, number one, and the only thing that's possibly going to be holding price is this area of interest, which is not really, I will not be counting it as a very strong one, right? So I need price to be above area of interest and have clean structures for me to be buying. So I'll see this one out for this week. I think we'll come back to this trade for next week. NZD USD. Let's see what we have there. Alright, NZD USD. I explained how we avoided this loss previously, right? So we'll be deleting it right now. And now we are currently above the area. Simply, whatever we do is when we are above area, we are buying. And when we are below the area, we are selling, right? Very textbook. Also, let me draw this because I can see it. So price is actually reacting from this level right here. So I don't know, am I willing to take this trade? Because the market structure on the daily is currently bullish. It's currently bullish. Let's see the weekly. Weekly time frame. As a matter of fact, I'll be calling this bearish, right? So daily bullish, weekly bearish. We need 4 hour is bearish. So what do I say daily was again? Daily is bullish. So we don't even have 2 time frame in sync. So there's no need of trading this market, by the way. This one is coming from final take profit targets. It will not make sense for us to be buying. So next pair, Euro JPY, also not clean, right? But overall direction, I believe this market will continue buying. Let's see how the 4 hour looks. Overall direction, I believe this market will continue buying simply because it has been buying. It's very textbook, right? GBP All right. I think I might be interested in GBP Let's look at this now. Weekly time frame. Let's start with the weekly. All right. So first of all, weekly, very bad thing that we are seeing right here. We are at the highest points, pretty much the all-time highs, and last week was even a doji at the high. So that just shows you that weekly might start reversing this week. So that is one bad sign. Daily time frame is good, but we don't have area of interest. As you can see, there's no place to draw area of interest right here, right? But we had about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 days. So that is pretty much Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday did not do anything, right? It was pretty much opening and closing at relatively the same price, right? Okay, so that just shows, I mean, sellers, because it was sellers that was in control previously, they are no longer in control, right? But we don't have area of interest to buy from, so this is going to be a risky trade, right? Good. Now 4-hour time frame is also bullish, so we do have daily and 4-hour bullish, right? So we have daily and 4-hour bullish, but we don't have area of interest, right? If I'm going to be calling a bias on this market, this is what I'll be saying. A break above this area right here, clearly, which has held as resistance most of the time, right? We are currently still above EME, which is good, right? If we can have a clean break and retest, right, like this, under this, above this area, sorry, right, we'll continue buying to the upside, right? So, but am I willing to take a trade that did not reject off of an area of interest? But am I willing to take a trade that did not reject off of an area of interest? You know, I doubt, but I'll keep this market very close, right? I want to see how it plays out. GBP Okay, I'm not interested. USD JPY should continue buying, right? I call this market from this level. Let's see how long it took before I continue. So markets, that is about 67 days straight buying for 67 days straight. Wow. But I'm not interested right now. AUD card, I called this one last week too as well. I called this market, was it around here, I think. So pretty much I was expecting buys and he bought, right? And USD I'm also expecting that this market will continue buying to the upside. So, but I'm not adding those pairs for this week. As for US oil and NAS 100 and all those ones, I explained that I was expecting oil to continue buying this week to at least this level. As you can see, we even surpassed that level, right? As a matter of fact, this market is still maintaining bullish structures, and I simply expect this market to continue buying. It's as easy as that, right? It's as easy as that. US 30 is looking very bearish right now. What I expect is selling to the downside. If you can have clean markets to the downside. So I've not started trading indices yet. I'm just testing the strategy on indices to see how it plays out, right? NAS 100 does not have any real reason for us to be selling, right? Or to be buying, either ways. But I explained that we needed a rejection from this area to be selling, which happened as well. So it seems like Set and Forget strategy is still working on indices, which is a good thing. S&P 500. Now S&P 500, I was expecting that if we are going to continue this bullish momentum, by the way, it has been happening, right? We should have a clean break and retest under this level to buy. Price never did that, so there's no trade to even take on that market, right? Overall structure, by the way, I'm also looking at bearish signs. If we are looking to be selling, right, I expect price to have a break under this level instead, right? So if you have a break and retest under this level, you should be selling. So those are pretty much the pairs I'll paying attention to, right? I'll be making a shorter version of this video to kind of explain them. EURUSD, GBPNZD, all these pairs, right? So those are pretty much the pairs. I'll break down I'll be making a shorter version of this video to break them down in a cleaner way that you understand. So good thing you have watched the longer version. I'll be making the shorter version very soon and you'll be seeing them, right? So that's pretty much it. Join the Telegram channel. It's absolutely free. And I'll see you guys in the Telegram channel.